Just 6 days until the inauguration of our 45th president. Joining me now, my political panel, Republican strategist, chairman of the American Conservative Union, Matt Schlapp, also here, syndicated radio host, former aide to Senator Chuck Schumer, Chris Hahn. All right, gentlemen, the left has gone berserk. And Donald Trump is about to be inaugurated in 6 days. Isn't he entitled to somewhat of a honeymoon period, as Republicans gave President Barack Obama 8 years ago, Chris?
Wait, what honeymoon period that he had 8 years ago?
Look, it didn't start until Obamacare. Come on, Chris, let's get...
I am going to... Here's my thing. I'm going to give him a chance until he does something as president before I start criticizing him. I have criticized some of his appointees, but only on minor things.
And that's okay.
But I will tell you that. Yeah, and I think that most Democrats are willing to give him a chance. I think that the president-elect needs to...
Congressman John Lewis is a lion in the House.
And let me tell you, John Lewis is a hero of mine, and he's a hero of most Americans. And I think the president-elect would be wise not to punch at John Lewis, but rather reach out to John Lewis and try to say, look, John, I know we have our differences, Representative, but let's see if we can make things happen.
You know what? It is time for Republicans to put a stake in the ground, stand their ground and say enough of this nonsense. We won. What do you say, Matt?
He's the president. He's the president. He needs to have a high ground.
I think Chris has been remarkably restrained for not criticizing Donald Trump. Good for you. I think the Democrats that are acting like crybabies and children, I think the voters are watching. Judge, I think it's look, I'm a partisan Republican, but I think it's great that the Democratic Party has not realized that on the first week of November, the American people repudiated them, and the Democrats have never lost so much in an 8-year period of time as they have in the last 8 years. Ever since Barack Obama was elected, they have lost from the top to the bottom of the ticket. And the reason is they're just simply unwilling to listen to the voters. And Donald Trump listened to them, and they better get on board, else there's going to be more political losses to come.
And you know, Chris, if Donald Trump starts to deliver, I mean, the hatred is so visceral right now. I've never seen anything like this. And the truth is that he's got the majority in the House and in the Senate. He's got that significant number of 7 or 8 senators who are going to run in the next 2 years, who are going to want to be in a position where they can go back home and say that they've been a part of a success story. I mean, you know that he's going to be a success in terms of getting business and jobs. Is it smart for the Democrats to continue with this kind of approach?
Well, I mean, I remember in 2009 when Barack Obama was sworn in and the Democrats had huge majorities in both the House and the Senate, and they were looking at the same kind of electoral map 2 years later, and Republicans just said no to everything they wanted to do. So there might be some logic to that strategy.
We actually won the argument.
I remember sitting in Matt's chair 8 years ago with the same kind of optimism for the future of the people I supported, and being very disappointed 2 years later. The pendulum swings in this country. The one thing you can always be sure of, Matt, the pendulum swings, and there will be another election in 2 years.
Go ahead, Matt.
Judge, I agree with that, but here's the fact, which is Donald Trump actually put together a coalition with a lot of people that often are with the Democrats, people who have their names stitched in the front of their work uniform, who said, look, I'm not getting anything out of this Democratic Party or this Democratic... Donald Trump already starts off with a new coalition, and I think on every one of these major issues, he knows he wants to work with Democrats. He's met more with Joe Manchin and Heidi Heitkamp as he's met with some major Republicans. It's going to take Democrats to get this done. And by the way, Chris, the smart Democrats in the Senate who are up next cycle and from purple or red states, they're going to be voting with Donald Trump. I hate to break it to you.
Well, you know, look, as long as he's popular, Matt, and that's the thing, right? So he's got to make some big moves in the first 100 days. He's got to have some real successes legislatively and otherwise.
What kind of successes, Chris, would you think are important in the first 100 days?
Well, I think that if he does a real replacement bill for Obamacare that actually does improve it, I think that'll be a big success. I think he might even get some Democrats to go along with it. But if he just allows 30 million Americans to worry for the next 2 years whether or not they're going to have health insurance, which he says he won't do. So he's got to get Congress, most importantly Republicans in Congress, to come along with him on that, with his replacement plan, which he has promised the American people upon the confirmation of his Health and Human Service Secretary. So let's see what he's got. I'm optimistic. I always want to give people a chance, Judge, and I want to give him a chance.
And that's good to hear, because I'll tell you, some of the people in your party have flipped their lid. Go ahead, Matt, last word.
Look,
go ahead.
First 100 days, the most important thing he's going to do the Monday after he's sworn in is just eviscerate the Obama agenda, since 99% of it was through a phone and a pen. He can rescind so much of that. That's the first thing. The second thing is he's going to pick, nope, it's actually pretty easy, Chris.
It is easy.
The second thing he's going to do is he's going to pick a wonderful Supreme Court nominee, which is going to recast the Supreme Court so that the Supreme Court doesn't color outside the lines of the Constitution like it's been doing over the course of too many decades. And the third thing he's going to do is he's going to have a big legislative agenda, and a lot of those Democrats in the Senate, Chris, they're going to be joining him on it.
You know what? If he wants to unify the party, he would take President Obama's Supreme Court pick, renominate him.
No way, baby.
No
way.
He's a
the voters said no to
so.
that, my
Matt
friend.
Schlapp, Chris Hahn, we'll have you back.